Tatsoft.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today as we launch officially version 9 Factory Studio 9.1 powered by Frameworks. So thank you for joining us. We're here today to introduce you to the new platform, the new Frameworks, which is helping you to create complete, powerful, and cost-effective solutions for your customers. So with me here today, my name is Dave Hellier. With me here today is Harry McCollum, president of Tatsoft, Mark Taccolini, the founder and CTO, and Tolgar Applegut, who's our VP of marketing, and put most of this together for you here today. So we'll go ahead and get started. So just a moment about who we are before we get into the product and what we bring to the market for you. We bring experience. Over 25 years of experience for a lot of the people here in the company. That's over a quarter century of industrial DNA that's here working for you. We bring cutting-edge technology, enabling innovative applications and solutions for today's applications. We bring product. So our new flagship product, of course, as I said, is called Frameworks. It is the unlimited implementation of all our tools. Everything that we use and that we've built into the platform is now referred to as Frameworks. And it's for everything from the edge to HMI SCADA to IoT and many more types of applications. Factory Studio, known for the SCADA HMI application, is very powerful, and it's the Frameworks Unlimited is the unlimited version of what we used to call Factory Studio. Again, it's everything in the box. The solutions, since Frameworks is so flexible, you can create applications that fit your needs exactly, like high performance HMI, manufacturing intelligence, asset monitoring, embedded analytics, applications for the cloud. Whatever it is, whatever issue you're trying to resolve or application you're trying to create, we've got the tool set within Frameworks. So cost-effective, unlimited, and scalable. Those are the three key words that we use to describe our platform. It's a single development environment. Everything, no matter what revision you have, everything is there for you to use and is a fully integrated environment. There really are no additional modules. Everything's included. Again, the Frameworks Unlimited in terms of I/O, in terms of runtime clients, in terms of engineers working together simultaneously on projects. Factory Studio allows you to scale down those applications. So where Frameworks is unlimited, Factory Studio lets you right-size your application to your needs. Edge HMI, which is our operator interface, our machine level interface. So you can run it locally, have an additional client come in when needed. So it's a smaller version of the Factory Studio product as well. So Edge HMI. And then at the lowest end, we have our Edge Gateway product, which is really a data migration tool. Connect to the data and move it somewhere. So it's got all the drivers included, some over 60 protocol drivers that come with the product, connect to everything, and then move that data somewhere else. No visualization, no alarming, that kind of thing. It's just grab the data and move it off somewhere. So those are our products: Frameworks Unlimited, Factory Studio, Edge HMI, and Edge Gateway. So what comes in the box when you get it? It's complete, as I said. All the symbols, create your own symbols, create your own components, which can be not just the symbols, but it can be displays, it can be reports, everything grouped together as one called a single component that you can use over and over in other products. All the PLC drivers, OPC UA, MQTT, both as a broker, as a client, and as a Sparkplug-B client. All included in the product. No additional charge for those. Everything's included in it. The built-in SQL database connectivity comes with the product. Every single license has that capability. Security, alarming, Scripting languages, C#, VB.NET, Java scripting, Python scripting, everything's included. So you have all the tools that you need, all the tools and environments that you're accustomed to using, all included inside the package. So it includes everything. So what does that mean in terms of the new things in version 9.1? So in version 9.1, we're introducing responsive dashboards for you to run applications in browsers and on wireless devices, on smartphones and things like that. Python integration, new in version 9.1. We have a visual SQL query builder. We're going to be showing you that as well in this presentation. Project templates, symbols, libraries, SmartFlow connectors, an industrial icons font. All these things are new in version 9.1, and we've enhanced some of the things that were there before. We've always had multi-monitor support so that you could, multi-monitor support so that you could run your application on multiple monitors, like in a console, all off of one PC. That's always been there inside our platform. We make it very simple for you to do. We've added a simulator driver so that you can create all kinds of tags with sine waves or ramping up or different types of signals for your tags. So there's a whole lot more that we've added. I'm not going to go through each and every one of them there or here today, but here to tell you about what's coming is the Tatsoft president, Harry McCollum. Harry, if you want to take it away. Harry, we can't hear you. I'm sorry. Maybe you're muted.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
We good?
Yep. Go ahead.
Thanks, Dave. As you can see, we've been very busy here at Tatsoft. We're a growing dynamic software company and continually working with our customers and integration partners on improving the platform. So I'm going to spend a couple of minutes here just highlighting, before we get into some details around 9.1, I'm going to spend a couple of minutes just highlighting some other things we are working on right now that we are going to be releasing in the next few months. So first off, what we're calling external tag provider. This is some capability we've always had in the software, the ability to connect to external historians or other external systems. But now we're making it, working on making it easier to connect and to auto discover the external tags as well as their object models and or asset frameworks. And then these external tags and models will be available to use in your framework's applications and easily accessed through our namespace, similar to any internal tag. Next, I just wanted to mention OPC UA. We're going to talk a lot about MQTT, but we're also, quite a few of our customers use our OPC UA. And we are enhancing and updating some of our OPC UA support. We currently and have had for quite some time built-in OPC UA client and OPC UA server, and we are improving. Here, what we're doing is working on improving just our overall performance and providing more support around and making it easier to access the full kind of OPC UA security model. And then we're also adding the auto discover around OPC UA for external OPC UA servers. Next, I was going to talk about our Rockwell drivers. This is our native kind of built-in Rockwell driver. Rockwell is one of the most, our most used drivers, one of our most popular drivers. And so we're continually enhancing this driver as Rockwell makes changes and as we need more functionality along the way. Two big things we're working on here is kind of our overall performance of the driver, and which is already actually very good. Then we're also introducing or working on, this is stuff that we're working on, the auto discover of tags from the PLCs to make it easier for configuration and maintenance. And next, I wanted to talk about our trending capabilities and specifically our trend object. We have a very powerful trend object with literally hundreds of options for customization. And we do provide, an easier kind of drag and drop version of that. But what we're working on is making some of these advanced features easier to implement, as well as building out kind of more sample applications that you could directly use in your projects. And we're also working on making the trend object, kind of equivalent in both the HTML5 world and the WPF. So the WPF is very full-featured. The HTML5 is relatively new, has most of the features, but we're working on getting those kind of equivalent. Next, I wanted to just talk about documentation and training. Oh, actually, more HTML5. So kind of what I mentioned there, we're just enhancing our HTML5 support, more smart symbols, more dashboard widgets. You'll see Mark's going to show off a little bit of our dashboarding, our new dashboard capabilities. We're working on more symbols and widgets just around HTML5, more functionality. We're going to continue to improve docs and training. As you can see, the software is very rich and got a lot going on, a lot of different tools to use. So we have, a kind of a dedicated effort to continue to improve our documentation, to provide kind of more examples and video snippets on how-tos around specific features. And then we're also working on training, both updating our live training, which has been live web-based training, but our live training curriculum, as well as providing more online and on-demand type training. We're planning on releasing a specific, kind of training site here over the next, probably within the next few months, sometime next quarter. And then last, I wanted to highlight some of the partners we're working with. The first one I wanted to talk about was Canary Labs. So we're working on some co-development and tighter integration with the Canary Labs historian. We showed kind of phase one of that a couple weeks ago at the Canary regional training seminar down in Texas, and we will release kind of the final version of that here very soon. And then the other partner I wanted to mention was HiveMQ. HiveMQ is an enterprise class MQTT broker, and we are working with them on some joint development and some future product offerings. So kind of stay tuned on that, and we'll have more coming there soon. And that is it. That was just a little preview of what is next for us here at Tatsoft and Frameworks. And now I'm going to turn it over to Mark, and he is going to highlight and show some of what's new and improved in our version 9.1. Mark?
Hi, Ari. Thanks for that. I'm going to share my screen. So We're going to highlight today 5 specific areas. As you saw from Dave's presentation, that's not all what are working, but we select to do some highlights today regarding our communication interfaces going down on MQTT, on our graphical tools, a little bit of new dashboards, in our scripting capabilities, talk about Python, in our connectivity and database, the new built-in editors, and a little about our symbols and how we are making our smart symbols even more smart than they are now. And start with the MQTT. This has impact not only in our native drivers, as you heard Dave mentioned, we have more than 60 built-in drivers in the product, but this one is special not only because it's being used a lot in IoT solutions, but also it has some impact in the improvements we are doing around asset modeling. And when we talk about MQTT, we are talking about the standard protocol or the Spark-B extensions as well that we fully support that initiative. And just a quick concept to put everyone on the same page. When you talk about MQTT broker, we have the concept of publish and subscriber around those assets. And of course, the frameworks can play both roles on that. And the implementation we did, as I did mention, we fully support the Spark Plug-B extensions. And the system was prepared to run in many scenarios. We can be running just as a gateway, getting data from our native protocols and publishing that to a unified namespace. We can expose our tags in our servers to be the data source for other applications or synchronize data from external providers, and of course, a scenario with both things happening at the same time. We also did that interface compatible with Azure. Azure supports MQTT, but they have their own API with some extensions, especially to publish data in high performance. And we did that certification as well. So when in our products, they are built in, you have those three options, in fact. We have the MQTT, that's the legacy standard. Then we have the MQTT with Spark Plug-B support. That's the one you should use by default, because those extensions, they are really amazing, and that's the one by default you should use if you are new to that area. And you have a version where you put the optimization for the Azure IoT Hub. And the way it works, you can pretty much define the node as usual. And when you do that, you have right away the dynamic browsing to explore the assets, explore the external elements without having to do any specific configuration for that. You can browse right away everything from the external data providers. And one thing that Harry did mention, it's our ability now to have enhancements on that, because right now we don't even need to do mapping. If you're familiar with our platform on communication drivers, typically when you have an external data source, we map that to a local tag, and then we use that tag in the application. You still can do that, but not necessary anymore, because we add the capabilities from any place in our application, do the navigation through the tree, and browse and use directly any remote assets from any external tag provider. So it doesn't matter if you are in a screen or if you are in a code, you can just go there and use directly data that's residing in external tech providers or in external asset frameworks. And not going too much in detail because that's not a training today, but those string expressions, they can be expressions. So it's very easy to do applications where you have codes and displays that you dynamically map to different parts of your asset model, because you can play with those connection strings as much you want in both display scripts and across all over your application. And as I did mention, when you are selecting that in your application, you don't need to do any mapping. Once you have those external tech providers defined in the application, we can browse the tree for that external data provider, showing dynamically what you have, and you can pick up and use anything that's available at that moment to you. That's just simple example how you provide, and all the tree is dynamically created as well, those elements. This solution I'm explaining with MQTT. In fact, it's more generic than that. We can use that same concept of data provider to Canary Labs, and we are going to add on next few weeks and months many systems like OPCUA, ControlLogix, Pi, even Factory Studio nodes that can be acting as data providers as well. And one concept that's quite important, we are also extending our asset modeling. So you can create your custom tree, as I'm showing here, element 1, level 2, but you can add as nodes in your asset modeling frameworks, trees or sub-trees from external data providers. So here under level 1, I'm showing dynamically whatever is in the Canary motors. Under level 2, I'm picking their view on MQTT data. So essentially what we're adding out frameworks is the ability to create a unified namespace, and you can dynamically put parts of other data modeling tools integrated very easily in our asset tree. And it's not importing, it's no synchronization. We are dynamically keeping that updated based on the remote data sources. And going back to a final concept on MQTT, especially for the ones new on that, every time we have an MQTT, to be able to work, we need a broker in the middle. And that broker, there are many nice products out there. As Harry mentioned, we're starting to use a lot HiveMQ. And there are many, both commercial and open source products to be a broker. What we decide to do to make your life easier is to embed a broker in our platform itself. So when testing, developing, or even deploying edge or small size applications, you don't need to go to any of those many brokers you have in the markets. But to be clear, for the medium or large size projects, we do recommend you to do that. This built-in broker that we have is more or less like our embedded SQL database. So it's great that's there because you can right away do test your application, even deploy some small size applications. But when you go large, big, the professional brokers, they have much more administration tools and high ability to go very large on the applications. This is intended for developments and small size application, but it's really amazing and huge time saving you don't have to worry because you just click the button, it's running, zero configuration. It's really simple to use. Switching gears to dashboard capabilities, what I'm going to show is to apply to both HTML5 and .NET clients. You could already create those kind of displays before, but the keyword here is responsive, meaning that when you resize that, they will be able to resize as expected. So the best way to understand that is to show. So if you have a process diagram, when you scale in and out, you expect to zoom in and zoom out, but keep the same image. When you have that type of dashboards, you want to have some other additional features, like being able, for instance, to select one component of the dashboard to easily zoom in, or when you resize that to be like your iPhone. So when you open that dashboard, your iPhone, you see the components, they align one in top of the other. And so based on from which device you are opening that dashboard, or if it's a computer, what is the screen, we do that automatically. And also the configuration for that is also easier. So if you are familiar with drawing tool, we have lots of advanced drawing tools, but when you are drawing those dashboards, we make a simplified model. So essentially, what you need to do in this case is just work in a simplified view, so you can more easily work with that, and you can drag drop your components. So we did a simplification in our drawing tool to make it more specific. If what you're doing is just a dashboard, you can select how they will be displayed in a very friendly style. And not only the editor is more friendly if what you're trying to do is a dashboard, but of course you have those benefits when running the application as well. And that can be applied for both native .NET clients as well HTML5 clients. Moving along, talk about our scripting. A little refresh from where we came from. Our product relies a lot in the .NET framework, and I do recommend to take a look in a video we put out 2 weeks ago called Intrinsically Safe Software, that we explain that concept and why it's very, very important. And as you know, we had already the ability to do C# and VB.NET and dynamically switch between the languages, mixing them as well. And now we are adding an integration with Python. By the way, small parentheses, they ask about if you do support JavaScript. The answer is yes, if you are creating HTML5 pages. So in our software, you can create either .NET or HTML5 pages. And when doing HTML5, naturally, we also support JavaScript on those pages. But regarding analytics, not screens, the main code for the application, typically you are going to use C#, VB.NET, and Python. And the way we did the Python integration, very important, we support any version of Python. So we are not specifically connected with one version. Different projects, they can use different versions. So it's very flexible in that sense. You just need to set up for that specific project which Python engine should be used. And when you do that, when you select the code in your scripting, now you can the 3 options, VB.NET, C#, and Python. And all the functionality we had before, like running this code on the client's computer or on the self computer, or having multi-threading for parallel execution, is available in between the languages. And going a little bit on detail on how we did that integration, we did in 3 parts. Number 1, we create a simple configuration dialog for the people that does not know really much about Python. So you can call an external Python class created by someone else and puts here which objects in your application, not only tags, can be alarm nodes, can be whatever, but which are the arguments to that external code. So if you have your Python programmer, they can give you what you should call. You just set up that dialog, say when you're going to run that by events, by time basis, and you don't have really to go too much on what you're calling. You just do that configuration dialog. Another option for the more advanced .NET programmers, you can call Python inside .NET code. So whatever is C# or VB.NET, you can access Python modules, you can access Python objects, instance of Python objects, you can run Python codes, and you can do that right away from your C# or VB.NET codes, okay? Just some more examples in activating external code, and integration is quite complete on what you can do. And finally, the number 3 option that we do integration with Python, you can do the other way around, which means from Python to access frameworks Factory Studio tags. So here is some example on from my Python code. I'm connecting to a Factory Studio server, I'm read and write objects from that Factory Studio server from within my Python application. Good. Moving along, let's talk about database integration. We had for a long time, if you know our product, the ability on data sets to connect with all kinds of SQL or custom data providers. And we have very powerful ways to define tables and queries that dynamically you can change the conditions like here. So you can put tag names mixed in the queries, call that queries from the server computer, from the client computer. So the point of view of the runtime, what we had was very powerful. The only problem, or not say problem, limitation, is that to create those SQL queries, that can be quite complex. And most of the time, someone from IT had to create that to you. Now we had put on the products here on data sets, you have the SQL query builder. So even you are not that strong on SQL language, with that visual query, you can pretty much select through the UI what you want to do, and your SQL expression is being created to you using that visual tool. Okay. And then you just use that in any part of your code. So you can do that here in queries to be the SQL statement of the query, or also on the scripts. If you know our soft, you remember we have those namespaces, and you can from the namespaces access that in a very easy way through code function. So that's the query builder that we have. And Query Builder is compatible also to all kinds of databases. We support the same providers, of course, support to runtime. We support here, so you can connect to any kind of SQL search to have that visual aids. Finally, smart flow connectors. And one thing before I even go to the smart flow, is to remind people that our symbols, they are really smart. From time to time, I regret not giving a beautiful name like abracadabra symbol, something like that many companies have, just called symbols. But they are very smart objects with lots of built-in functionalities. So for the ones that are not really too much familiar with our symbol library, we do send with the software hundreds to thousands of symbols. And those symbols, they are not only drawing, they have dynamic properties built in that you can easily map to the system. And those symbols, they can be shared across HTML5 and .NET. So if I create an application that wants to have high performance operator workstations with a performance no one has, and also that same application to provide HTML5 to your Android customers, you don't need to have double work on the engineering, because you can create some operator screens for your factory floor, and you can create some HTML5 displays to your mobile or other operating platforms. But those two types of displays, they will be able to be sharing the same components, the same objects. So you just can copy and paste and set up another UI. And when you do that, you are carrying all the mapping, all the data model, everything. So we are pretty much one of the only few platforms that can support many types of client displays using the same symbols, the same tags, so you can have the UI that you need for any kind of application. And one nice enhancements that we are doing now on the system, it will be in your release service pack very soon, is that we have these flow connectors that we establish a connection between symbols. So we are able to know if those symbols are off. You don't need to do any animation, any programming for the segment to go red. That is built in what you call our smart flow symbols. So if I go to the configuration tool to take a look on how that display was created, you see those symbols now, they do have a native connection on them. That's we added these new connector elements to allow you create not only drawing lines, but really to create a logical path on your elements. This logical path allows you not only to easily modify the position of the symbols, but this flow that we created, we run behind the scenes a logic to know, based on the status of the equipment, where you have flow or not. So that can be used for data flow diagrams like this one. It can be used for electrical power, water, and many other systems. And we are working with OEM partners to have custom symbols and data models that will be more easily applied to the many verticals where any kind of flow makes sense to your system. And I believe that I can now get the word back to you, Tolga. If you want to come in. I think that's enough technical information for one session. So I stop sharing my screen.
Mark,
and
appreciate the.
I see Tolga is coming up.
Can you hear me here?
Yes, I can. So
Okay,
I mute
just make sure.
myself. Thank you, Tolga. The show
Thank you
is
very
yours
much,
now.
Mark. Sounds good. Thank you for that insightful overview, and thank you, Harry and Dave, as well. Mark, I just want to say I'm going to look into trademarking abracadabra symbols. For those of you joining us today, thank you very much for your time. We're incredibly excited to have this opportunity to present 9.1 to you. If you have any additional questions and want to learn more about 9.1, you can visit our website. We have a section dedicated to it. It'll say new and improved, and you can check that out. We've also worked to build our documentation, so you can also visit that as a resource, chock full of information. If you haven't been to our forum, we've also launched forum.tatsoft.com, and you can ask your questions there, and our support is willing to answer those in real time as well. Our training is coming soon, as Harry mentioned. We've also worked with Walker Reynolds and Zach for Frameworks University, so you can visit that as a resource if you have any questions. It's a great launching point, and then we'll be supplementing that with our own training curriculum and also covering some advanced topics that you've sent to us. And lastly, our LinkedIn Live that we do every Thursday, we're also moving that to now noon starting today. And our special guest is going to be Walker Reynolds, who will be joining us, and we'll be talking a little more about the new MQTT information that Mark gave out today. So with that said, I'm going to hop into the Q&A. And Mark, Harry, Dave, I'll let you guys kind of decide who takes these. We did have some questions that came up in chat. I believe this one was from Alexander, and maybe Mark, you may be the person here. Is the integration with Canary Historian already implemented?
Yes. In the current release, there is only a configuration limitation that we can select only one Canary server to connect to use the advanced features. You can connect with many Canaries if you do the binding, the configuration of the mapping. The new features with that you can access the points without any mapping, in this release on the market, only one server, but very soon, next few weeks, you'll be putting generic. So even with the automated discovery, you can have as many servers and data tag providers mixes as you want. But if you want to explore the Canary Connection right now, please do. The update 1.12 and up, we have already that feature built in.
Okay, perfect. And if you have any further questions, just let us know and we could, give you that. What we'll do is early next week, we'll push out all these questions and answers for everyone that registered for the event, as well as the recording of today. Okay, so let me just see here. Maximum number of connections to the MQTT broker,
right,
and it was
now,
broken.
Memory and performance, and or if the broker has a limitation. In our sites, we are not putting any predefined limits on that.
Okay, so there was a follow-up to that maybe, but so I think you answered it, but it was how many tags local broker versus enterprise. So it still comes down to those two criteria?
That number I don't have, but to be clear, our local broker, we do not really publish any benchmark figures because the embedded broker that we provide was originally just to be a development tool. So I want to make that clear. When you are deploying for production, even we can handle the number of connections. Our built-in broker was intended to be a tool for the developers. So many of our partners like HiveMQ and others, they have sometimes a free broker or sometimes our low-cost brokers. That's our recommendation choosing production.
Okay, perfect. There was a question about, do you offer an unlimited version?
I'll take that one. Yeah, sure. I'll take that one. Yes, we do. We call it Frameworks Unlimited. And so it's unlimited, again, in terms of the amount of I/O, in terms of the number of runtime clients when you're running the application, and in terms of the number of simultaneous engineers working together from anywhere that you've got connectivity to that project. So absolutely.
Great. If you have any follow-up questions, Dave is definitely the person to follow up with, and he can answer anything in detail there. Next one is, how can we input new picture to config website? It's a question. And then what type can yours support?
If you go to product configuration and resources, okay, we do have the ability to import any image to the system. And the real nice thing on that, you don't even need that external file anymore. The system will just be able to get that right away. We save that in the project configuration. So when you run our product, you go to add display resources, and you'll find there the user interface that you can import from many and many file formats. You can import as XML, you can import PNG, JPEG, and there is a customer from us, Michael from Nalco Ecolab. He pick up AutoCAD files all times. So he has the procedure to import even AutoCAD files to use in our pages. Doesn't matter if it's .NET or HTML5. If you cannot find that properly or have any specific questions, send us an email to follow up. We'll give you the exactly steps to whatever file format you do have.
All right, thank you for that, Mark. So Fong, if you have any additional question, just send us our way or send it to our email here. Let me just see, they're coming in right now, so bear with me. Do you have a systems integrator program?
Let me take that one. Yes, we do. And if we'll happily contact you to discuss it, but we do it. It gives you training, gives you licenses in-house to build and support your applications. We co-marketing activities, all those things, but absolutely we have the systems integrator program, and you can contact me, or we'll be following up with everyone here afterwards. So if you want more detail on that, we're happy to share it with you then.
All right, thank you for that, Dave.
Yep.
Bear with me here. Well, let's see here. Can frameworks be hosted on your own infrastructure, or is it hosted?
I will take that one. We do not provide hosting service at this point, okay? But because a .NET Server application, if you want to have hosted in a cloud environment, definitely you can. And you do have some customers that do that. So because based on .NET technology, you can either host in any server that's compatible to .NET, or you can go to an external provider to host those servers. And about .NET, one clarification that I don't see that question here anymore, but it's a few 1-2 pages before. They ask about how to improve performance on those servers on the configuration tools, not when running. The question was about the engineering tools. And the trick is to have a good memory card in your computer also, or do the configuration connecting to your server, but do from a computer that has a decent graphical card. Because our configuration tool, our engineering tool, use a technology called Windows Presentation Foundation, WPF, that can do amazing graphics, but at the same time, they go to try to find some graphical GPU in your computer, okay? So that's specific, not when you're running the application. I'm talking about the configuration tools. So for you that asked how we can improve that, try to use as much as possible a computer that has a good graphical response. And also you can always do the configuration from one computer and connect to your computer that's the server computer. Sometimes you have very nice server computers regarding CPU and memory, but you're not supposed to run graphical applications on that server. So our recommendation is, instead of running the drawing tools in the server, just run your notebook computer, remotely access that server, that we have that built-in capability in our products.
Omid, hopefully that answered your question, and thank you, Mark, for that. I skipped over Mazen here. He says, could you please touch on your licensing policy, and can we run the software for, say, 2 hours to test run it prior to licensing? Thank you.
Dave? All right.
I'm sorry, I was muted there. Yes, so we have licensing for various types of requirements. So we have engineering and runtime licensing. We have runtime only licensing. We have, when you download the demo off our website, it does include 2 hours of runtime. It gives you 30 days of 24-hour development to develop to your heart's content. And so it's, we have complete and very flexible. We do soft key licensing. We do USB key licensing. So I think we'll be able to meet your needs for sure.
Great. Thank you for that, Dave. Next up, can you embed maps and JavaScripting in them to connect to the database?
Yes, definitely you can. When you create pages for HTML5, you can do anything you would be able to do in JavaScript. So any kind of JavaScript code or HTML5 component that you have, you can put in your HTML5 pages for sure.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I don't know what happened here, but my light just went out. So it's kind of darker. Excuse me, folks. All right. How about, Huang asks, how about dynamic image? Can we input that? So that was a follow-up to an earlier image question that he was asking about.
Yes. To do that, you do need a little bit of scripting. And the script will not be the same if the client is a .NET client or HTML5 clients, but definitely you can go to a file and read that file dynamically and update the screen or any object on the screen with the image from that file. For that one, I request you to send an email to support@tatsoft.com that you can guide you on building that example.
All right. And let me see, I've got some questions through this channel here. Bear with me 1 second. What SQL databases do you support?
Well, anyone that's compatible with any technology like ODBC or LedGB, or they have a native connector like Firebird. So we pretty much support, I can say almost anyone, because we do support those standard technologies like OLEDGB, AGO.NET, and ODBC. And in addition to support those standard technologies, if the database has a custom provider, like they have, like a library to access the database, we did the integration with them as well. And by the way, SQL and NoSQL. For instance, MongoDB has a .NET library to access their objects. And of course, because you're .NET, you can very easily use also NoSQL databases from within your application.
Great. Thank you for that, Mark. We've got an interesting one here from John. He says, is there a plan to incorporate augmented reality or virtual reality capability in the Frameworks Factory Studio?
That will happen one day. Right now, we are just playing with that technology ourselves. That would be a little too much cutting.
Yeah.
With, as I used to say, we avoid putting production in our products some technologies that are too much cutting, because we don't want our customers bleeding.
Yeah.
So that will happen, but not in the short term.
All right, John. So yeah, if you've got a use case, share it with us. We'll definitely check it out. All right. last one here, and then we'll wrap up for the day. You talked about performance enhancements and frameworks being fast. Can you explain?
Oh, yeah. Well, we put a video around 2 weeks ago showing we're reaching 100,000 Modbus points from 100 nodes in around 600 milliseconds. So if you are working in data acquisition, you know that 100,000 points in 600 milliseconds, it's really a very high performance. So there are 3 areas in the products that we do have really an unmatched performance. That's why when the application requires performance, many integrators, they claim we are the #1 choice on that. And those 3 areas are #1 on the communication drivers, because we do have the native protocols, and even in OPC, we allow parallel requests because the way it's our driver model. So on data acquisition, #1. Second, on the graphics. Remember time that we support technology like Windows Presentation Foundation, and we did some optimizations that apply to web as well. So we can have a display in our .NET Thin client with thousands and thousands of elements on the display, reacting by exception or taking commands in 50 milliseconds timestamp, and send them to the external PLC right away. So the performance on the graphical user interaction is also unmatched with any other system. And finally, on the analytics and on the scripting, because not only support C#, VB.NET, and Python, and those not the language, they are compiled so they can run very fast the codes. We did a benchmark with VB.NET and C# against VBA and VB scripts, and was around 15 times faster, some code. And we allow also to run parallel code side by side. That gives also better performance. So if you pick up the tag database, how to react to events, the data acquisition, the scription, the graphics, in all areas of the products, we can have a performance thanks to the architecture that some cases, even you are a very good application engineer, the tool you are using, if they do not have that infrastructure, you'll not be able to do much. That's it.
Got it. All right, so we got a couple of questions that came in. I can definitely wrap it up here just because I do want to be respectful of everyone's time, but I'll try to get one more in if that's all right. And then for the remainder of you folks, what we'll do is we'll just, like I said, we'll email all of you probably early next week, and then we'll also have a recording so you can get your questions answered there. And then if you have any additional questions, again, use our forum. All right, so one last one if we've got time. Can we implement any kind of AI, or it says IA here, I'm not sure if I meant to say AI, but with Python to use it inside Tatsoft?
Well, yeah, we are, everything you can do in Python, you can be accessing our real-time tags and the story from us. So there is no really any specific constraints on that, because pretty much we are not running the Python codes exactly ourselves. When you do the project configuration, it selects which Python engine you'll be running that code. And we are just exchanging with that engine, send value of the real-time, send data historian. So it's up to you. Go ahead.
All right, I hope that answers your question. And again, thank you everyone for joining us today. If you have any additional questions about our product or our company, please reach out to any of us. And for sure, anything regarding licensing, reach out to Dave. So with that said, do you guys have anything you want to say before we close here?
Thank everyone for coming. We're looking forward to meeting you somewhere down the road here soon.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Thank you, and stay tuned. Keep visiting our LinkedIn Lives on Thursdays, and just look for just a lot of good things coming from us. So thanks again.